This is Wideout's World. I'm your host, and this is my co-host, Fred Barnett, and the B
Yep.
stands for Boogie Down. We
Not
are
hardly.
missing our Hall of Famer. He had
Yep.
family, and it's funny because he's me now, so I'm not so sure what happened. I can't talk to him, so we're live. So maybe you can text him. Well, you can't text him either,
I
Fred.
can't text
We're
him either.
both on the phone. So he was trying to call in, but I don't know if we can put him in now. But
Probably not.
nevertheless, he had an illness in the family. A relative was
Yeah.
sick, and so he had to take care of them. So he left the keys to the car to Fred and I, and so we are going to have a ball. Welcome
Yep.
everybody to Wideout's World. So he's calling me again, Fred.
He can't do it. We can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. Now he's disturbing us.
All right, all right. So
Tell him.
let's rock and roll, Fred. So
Yes, sir.
let's go. How's everything? So let's go get right into it. The news of the week.
Hmm.
So the news of the week. This is something that I think a lot of people will be very interested in. What I'm hearing a lot of the scuttlebutt is about the Cowboys that everybody loves to talk about. And
Hmm.
here's what I'm hearing. I am hearing in the news Deion Sanders, primetime, going to coach the Cowboys. Now,
Yeah.
nothing's happened. Coach hasn't been fired or anything like that. But I just thought that this was interesting enough for us to give it our take. So here's my question. And I'll go first, so I'll give you a chance to get your thoughts. Deion Sanders coaching in the NFL, number one, then coaching potentially his son if he gets drafted by the Cowboys. Now,
Yeah.
number one, I heard Shannon Sharp say this that it was the news on the street that if they did select his son, he
Hmm.
would he would go and coach the Cowboys. Now, so for my 2 cents, I don't like the idea, and obviously it's his choice. Um, I don't want him in the NFL. I just
Hmm.
think Dion's its best fit for him is in college. I just think the impact is greater. So for me personally, I think he's doing an outstanding job. I believe he'll be successful in the NFL. However, and the reason why I say I think he'll be successful in the NFL, I'm looking at the Los Angeles Chargers with the college coach being Harbaugh. Now, he
Hmm.
obviously had a stint as a head coach in the NFL before, but just the fact that he came back with the college mindset, the rah rah, and he
Hmm.
was able to galvanize the team, and they're doing fairly well. So with Dion, I just think the players will gravitate to him in the NFL if he chose because they can relate. And you know as well as I do, he's one of them. But
Yep.
for me personally, I hope he stays where he is. I just like the impact that he's having on the college kid, and he wouldn't have that same impact in the NFL with the professional players. So personally, I hope he stays there for quite a long time. He's doing a great job. I watch him every week. Every time they get a chance to be on, I'm watching him. I'm pulling for him. So for me, that's my
Mhm.
take.
Yeah. That's it's an interesting take because um, I actually feel that he possibly could coach in the NFL because I
Mhm.
think, of course, he's an all pro, he's a Hall of Famer, and he of course played in the NFL, so he knows and understands different than a Nick Saban, different than a Chip Kelly,
Yeah.
guys who were once successful college coaches and who tried the pros and who had that same approach that they had with college players, and it just didn't work. I think Dion knows and understands how to approach professional players. Now, I
Mhm.
think it'll be interesting because I also heard a little snippet about him about just kind of which a couple of guys have done it, and I think Dion did it. And if I'm not mistaken, uh, Eli Manning did it. They were drafted by a team and they declined.
Right.
If I could,
Right.
so that I don't quite understand, but Dion, I've heard little snippets here and there and saw certain videos, and he said
Mhm.
that he would kind of intervene if
Yeah.
certain teams picked him, opposed to kind of choice teams, so to speak. And
Right.
I think that's interesting. Guys like myself, I'm like, somebody please call my name. I'll go play for whoever. Now it's at a point now. It's like, you know what? You want to pick me and pay me a lot of money? I don't want to play for your team. I want to play for somebody else. It's like, come on, are
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
serious? So that I think that's very interesting, and at the same time too, it that talk interestingly, I heard today Michael Irvin said that he heard from a reliable source that if they
Mhm.
had the chance to pick Shador, that they were going to also hire Dion. So
So
how does it how
I thought it was Shannon Sharp that said it, but it may have been a Michael Irvin.
oh
But
it may,
nevertheless, it was said. Yes, sir.
well
Hmm.
Shannon Sharp probably said it, but I heard Mike said that he heard a source, whoever that source
Okay.
was,
Okay.
and the one thing about Shannon Sharp, different than Shannon and Mike, Mike's
Yeah.
in AT&T Stadium, so
Yeah.
he's setting with Jerry Jones. So I'm thinking that it possibly is true. But it's interesting that I mean, as a as McCarthy, even if there's a little birdie just saying this, whether it's true or not, how does it make you feel as a coach to
Yeah.
know that you're being almost figuratively replaced, and you're out there trying to coach a team, you're out there trying to get some wins, and of course McCarthy will move on, he'll go
Yeah.
somewhere else, and the Cowboys I think could use a good shot of something in the arm, and they're just really struggling right now.
Yeah.
But I think it would take that organization to another level. I'm not sure how good they will be right away,
Hmm.
but Jerry Jones all about ticket sales. Jerry
Hey,
Jones all about
he had to fight. He
he's
had to fight. He had to
hey
fight.
he's all he had to fight. He's all about the glitter.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's gonna put some butts in those seats, man.
Oh
And
yeah.
if Dion and his son come in there,
Yeah.
man, that star may cover the whole field.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what he likes. That's what he likes. And God forbid if they mess around and go to the playoffs, it'll be crazy. And they of course we know that they're struggling right now. They're one of the best teams that's playing their worst right now, in my
how,
opinion.
how did you
But
put that? You say that. Say that again. Say that
they're
again.
one of the best teams that are playing their worst. See, sometimes when you're a good team, it's like, and you play 10 games. Oh, you may have 2 games where he's like, kind of, we played our worst. They're
Right.
consistently playing their worst, but they're a good team. And of course they got Dak Prescott out, and Cooper Rush. He just it's
Whew,
almost it's
whew.
I for the first
Yeah.
time somebody asked me about the Cowboys, and I said, you know what? I said, I promise you. I said, believe this when I tell you. Of course, we in Philly feel like the Cowboys suck. Big
Of course.
rivalry and whatever. But I feel so bad for them guys, man. They I
As a
feel
player,
bad.
as a former player,
As a player,
yeah, you hurt for him.
I
Yeah,
feel
you
I
do.
feel bad for them, and
Yeah.
it's sad just to see them go through this. And something's going to change. A change going to come. You know that. So it'll be interesting to
Well.
see what happens. And I would love to see it. Now let me tell you another point too. Now,
Hmm.
interestingly, there are a lot of guys, especially defensive backs. I'm friends with a lot of defensive backs. I'm not gonna call no names, but they're not too fancy over Dion.
Right.
And I'm like, why? I can't. I don't understand why he doesn't get support from some people. Oh, he's too this and he's too. And see, that's the same swagger that he has as a coach that he had on the
Yeah.
field. I'm telling you, he
Yeah.
used to piss me off. He
Yeah.
used to piss me off, and all the times we played, I think we met each other probably. we were against each other probably about 4 or 5 times throughout my career.
Hmm.
And I think one time in Dallas I won, and I had one touchdown that was called back. And the rest of the time, Randall didn't want to throw me the daggone ball because I'm like, this young man Dion. I'm like, dude, I'm wide open. I'm like, man, don't give me, I don't care about
Yeah,
no Dion.
well,
Hey,
see, as athletes, we were competitive enough. We wanted to try it, but you would get quarterbacks that were like that, that were afraid to throw his way,
they was
and
afraid to throw his way.
much props to him. That's what he
Yeah,
commanded. But as competitors, we were all for it. We were all
dude,
for it,
I,
and
I'm like, come on, follow me. I'll tell him,
yeah,
follow me,
yeah.
follow
And
me.
so the funny thing about Dion, he's from Florida, and so we both played in
Mhm.
the first Florida versus Georgia All Star game. And so that was
Okay,
back in the day when he had his Jerry curl, but he was on that All Star team with me, Sammy Smith, him, and some other guys. So yeah,
yeah,
so well, I we'll see what happens. But a
we'll
lot
see
of
what
times,
happens.
as well as I do, when a lot of times where there's smoke, there's fire, and just the fact
Yes.
that people are talking like that, don't think that
Yeah.
Jerry Jones, who keeps his nose to the grindstone, to the
Oh yeah.
he knows what's going on, and I wouldn't be surprised.
You know
All
what
right.
people are saying too.
Oh yeah. Oh
My
yeah.
news, my news. Oh my
You got
goodness.
some news. What you got? What you got?
I got some news, man, and I just kind of comb through the news to see what's going on, and and I kind of flip it around, and all of a sudden it came to the Jets, and I'm like, hey, what's going on with the Jets? Like, oh, they have a bye week. They got a bye week, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, wait a minute. They just fired their general manager. What? What did he do? I mean, what did Joe Douglas do? He didn't do nothing this week. He didn't do nothing. He just brought in the players that needed to be brought in that Aaron Rodgers told him to bring in. Uh, Joe Douglas actually was with the Eagles from 2016 to 19, and of course he won the Super Bowl as director of player personnel. But he
Hmm.
left the Eagles 2019. He's been with the Jets since then until Tuesday, and
Okay.
he was a general manager, and it was there for, of course, 5 years. And it's so interesting because when you think about when you have an idea, a concept, you think about, okay, what are the costs? Let's say a business. What are the
Hmm.
costs and what are the projections? Like, what's this going to cost me and what this is going to do to make that cost back and go beyond that. And you know, when I think of what Aaron Rodgers cost the Jets,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking now, if you measure that with the projections,
Hmm.
they ain't
Ooh,
getting nothing.
gee.
They're
Yeah.
not getting nothing.
They're not getting.
That
Nope.
the projections are way off. And I got this feeling that Aaron Rodgers is just sitting with Woody Johnson and just they're sitting with Woody Johnson. Is like, hey, Woody, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do this, we need to do that. And it's so interesting because it's like everything around him is just changing,
Hmm.
and it just it just boggles my mind. Now here's a guy that you paid as a leader to come in and lead this team to a possibly, of course, playoff, hopefully a Super Bowl.
Right.
And when I see some of the characteristics or things that he do on the field, I'm puzzled. Give you an example. I'll give you a couple of examples. So about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I'm not sure if you remember, but there was a lineman that got seriously injured on the Jets.
Hmm.
And look it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And not only did he have his Jets teammates there on the corner of the field with him on their sideline, the other teammates were right there on the sideline, right in front of him where he was on the field. Well, guess what? Aaron Rodgers was standing all the way back at the end of the on the other side of the field by himself.
Mm.
Now here's your leader. Here's your leader.
Yeah.
He throws a touchdown pass. He comes off, and I think we talked about this. We mentioned that he throws a touchdown pass, and he comes off the field, and it says coach who's gone try to give him a hug, and he pushes him away.
Right.
And not only is he like this? He doesn't mind showing the general public he's displeased with certain things. Now, it's too much power, in my opinion. Let the player go ahead. Go ahead. Go.
But
You
remember,
have some.
that was the beginning of the end because shortly after that, the head coach got fired.
He got fired,
Yeah.
and I think it's too much power. I think the players need to be the players. Let the GMs be the GMs. Let the head coaches be the head coaches. And I think it's gotten to a point to where it's not like that. And if the Jets right now was this car and they needed these new tires to move them along. Let's get Aaron Rodgers because he's gonna hold us up and just get us go. You know what? Boom! You hit some bumps in the road, right? You hit
Well,
some
I mean,
bumps in the road.
he was the shiny object for them to go get.
Of
So
course.
but let's keep in mind. Let's give Woody Johnson some credit. Here's why. As the owner, he knows the writing is on the wall. All he's doing right now, early, Fred, he's clearing the deck. You
Hmm.
know as well as I do that he needs to get the GM out so he can get the correct GM in that can help him find a coach. That's what's happening. So he's just clearing the deck early because you
Mike,
remember now. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
who, who's the problem?
Well, I understand that. I understand that. We know who well, he's going to. He just don't know it yet
Oh,
because
Aaron
who?
Rodgers.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is
Oh,
going. Okay. Yeah.
he's out. He's out.
But yeah. Okay.
So
Okay.
all he's
Now. Okay.
doing,
We're on the same page.
he's clearing the deck because he's going to tell the new GM we need to
Hmm.
start this whole thing over. All those people that Joe Douglas convinced me to sign off on, I want them out. We need a whole new start.
But you know
And
what's interesting?
starting with Aaron Rodgers is out.
Well, see, what my opinion is, it's a shame that you have to go from the bottom to the top because, in my opinion, Aaron Rodgers is at the top, and I think Aaron, is my opinion, has sparked some of the interest of that's related to some of the actions that they're taking at this point.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because when I think, I'm not sure when it started. Maybe you can help me with this, but at some point, and I remember Jimmy Johnson at the Dallas Cowboys.
Mhm.
Jimmy and Jerry had some beef. They weren't throwing punches, but the problem with Jimmy and Jerry was this: Jerry was sticking his nose in everything.
He still does.
So he's sticking his nose in. But here's the deal: what that did in Jimmy Johnson, Jimmy said, "You know what? I want control."
Mhm.
So what happens is you got these rave flow of head coaches now that says,
Yeah.
"Oh, you want to hire me? Well, guess what? I want control."
But
And
remember
I
now in
understand
Dallas,
it.
that was Bill Parcells as well.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Jimmy Johnson started that, but all of a sudden all the coaches now want to make all the choices. And the interesting
Mhm.
thing about that is that I kind of understand it simply because if you hire me, Mike, as a general manager and I'm the head coach, and you going out picking my players and I don't think they're good enough, I'm coaching
Well, well,
somebody
well,
who I don't think good enough.
well, I just mentioned somebody, and obviously I played for Bill Parcells. Remember
Yeah.
that famous quote: "If I'm going to cook the dinner, at least let me buy the groceries."
Yeah.
That hasn't changed. That hasn't
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah.
But that was the
And that
greatest
I
line.
and that I
The great.
understand. But
Mhm.
But I think the last thing you want to do is have a player, and I think inevitably that is starting to seep in where you go out and get this big guy, and all of a sudden he's your guy. He's the number one, on the totem pole, and all of a sudden he starts saying, "Okay, do this, do this, do that, that," and
Yeah.
everybody like, "Okay, okay, what do we do? Oh, go get Devontae Adams. Okay, we got him. Oh, go get Lazard. We got him." And now it's like, hey, great. So it's like, you feel like you're handicapped because if you don't do what he says.
Well, that's why I told you that he's just clearing the deck because remember he also told him to
Yeah.
go get the old offensive coordinator, and so Woody Johnson is just doing because he doesn't know he's green with regards to he's not the Jerry Jones that's
Yeah.
really involved in terms of
Yeah.
that. He just took it advice. So let me get some shout outs, Fred, to some people
Oh
that we
yeah,
have
I
with
see
us.
Richard.
Yeah, we see Richard's in the house. Hello, Richard. We got Ben Bensters. We have Arlene Barnett. Appreciate you guys. We got Kenneth Casper. We have Richard Melton. So we got
Oh,
some of
Rich.
our regulars, and Richard's talking about his Bills again.
But it's good.
So we
Hey,
see
Rich.
it. The
Appreciate it,
Bills are
Rich.
doing good. The Bills are doing
Appreciate it,
good.
Rich. Hey, you knew at some point, hey, it's about, man, when you look at the Chiefs wins, it's like y'all should have at least 4 losses right now. And you just by the skin of your teeth. And Buffalo just like, all right, we'll be the first one. No
Well,
problem. We'll take it.
Buffalo. That's a tall task in Buffalo. So, all right.
You
So
know,
we'll get more.
let me
We'll
say,
get. Go
let me
ahead.
say this one last thing, and if they don't get rid of Rodgers, like you say,
Mhm.
Rodgers, in my opinion, could possibly, if they let him just he could possibly be the worst thing to happen to his organization.
I
Like
just don't see.
what's the wor-
I don't see that. I don't see them keeping it. I just
Yeah,
don't see
you
them.
probably.
I
I
don't
hope
see
you're
them
right.
keeping. You
I
know.
hope you're right.
But we'll see. We'll see. All right. What you got, Fred? Let's go to our wide receiver of the week.
Wide receiver of the week. We I went with, of course, well, not of course, but Ahmad St. Brown, who had 11 catches, 161 yards, 2 touchdowns. And it's so interesting. I mean, the Lions are 9-1, and I didn't realize he was that far down in
Yeah.
terms of stats. I mean, he's 12th with
Yeah.
165 catches and only 600 and like 85 yards, and only, and I'm saying only, but because the thing is that you see him just kind of lighten it up every week. But I think there's been some, some games where he wasn't as productive as we
But you
thought.
know why? They have two backs. What do they call them? Chocolate and Thunder. What do they call them?
Hey, Thunder
Sonic
and
and
Lightning.
Hedgehog. What Thunder?
Oh,
Whatever they
whatever
call
it
them
is.
something. But they got two dynamic backs, and they
Yeah,
use them, man.
they
They
use him.
use them, and that's why
And
he's not getting as many touches. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
what a great position to be in, to have that balance. Because the
Yeah.
thing is that you bring 8 men up, you got some all star. You got him out there that you put him one on one, he's gonna win 8 out of 10 times. You know that. So Ahmad St. Brown was my guy. As I mentioned, 11 catches, 161 yards, and 9 touchdowns.
Well, it's funny you mentioned him because I'm going to go on the other side of the line of scrimmage and take his teammate. Was my wide
Hmm.
receiver of the week is Jamison Williams. Here's why I like Jamison Williams. As a matter of fact, he had 4 catches for 124 yards. He had 6 targets, but to have 124 yards on 4 catches, he's getting it done. He had a long of
Yeah.
64 yards, averaged 31 yards a catch. Now let's keep in perspective. It was against Jacksonville. So let's just keep it in perspective. But respectfully, we know players that are in the NFL, they're in the NFL for a reason. So we're going to give props to him getting it done. But the thing that I
Of
like
course.
about Jamison Williams, he's back, I think 2 games now he's played since coming back off of suspension. And you see the talent, the raw talent that this guy has, that
Hmm.
he's only going to get better. And the more
Yeah.
they have that balance that you mentioned, this guy's going to continue to put up big numbers. And the thing that I like about him, he seems really raw, and he's just out there
Hmm.
just having a good time. And
Yeah.
his quarterback is throwing the ball. So you have these two receivers, and then they got a dynamic tight end that I like, Laporte.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're
they
comfortable.
have a great passing scheme with
They're
the Detroit
comfortable.
Lions. So let's continue to look for big things with them. But he's
Yeah.
my
And that
receiver of the week.
and that last game, they literally, you
Sonic
know,
and Knuckles. Richard, thank you. He said Sonic and
Sonic and
Knuckles.
Knuckles.
I knew it was. You said Sonic Hedgehog. I knew it was Sonic something, but Sonic and
That
Knuckles.
last
But
that last game, they just like surgically removed the Jaguars' jaw, just just unscrewed it, just took it off. All right, all right, all right. I'm like, oh my god, they scored 50. I think it's 52-7 or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And
yeah.
they was
So
just
they
like,
just
they were just practicing. You have them good days in practice. Nobody can stop you. They feel like they were practice, doing 7-on-7.
so
But they're
let
the
me
team to beat.
they're the team to beat. Let me ask you a question because it just ran through my mind because we talked earlier about Jerry Jones. in
Hmm.
the palace that he has out in Texas. And I thought about it because we had mentioned it briefly that he had the fight. So I'm sure you, like a lot of us, were watching the fight. That's a little
Yeah.
sideway, but we watched the fight and Mike Tyson. So here's the thing that was interesting about that, Fred. First of all, they started out, they had the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders do their little thing.
Yeah.
And then when they brought Tyson out, this did it for me. He came out with a knee brace, Fred.
Yeah.
And then they had him walk like a mile. Now, you remember when Tyson went in his heyday, he came down, he was bouncing, to
Yeah.
get in the ring. Boy, that walk
Yeah.
was slow. It was like walking the green mile. And, and then you had the whole thing with the glitch and the TV. But that fight, now something saying that it was rigged. I'm a
Something.
Tyson fan like everybody else is. I was just disappointed that it didn't live up to what
You
we thought it
know,
would be, particularly looking at all of his training videos. So I
yeah,
just thought that was interesting. So
man. It After round two, I was punching for Tyson when the kid like and he did this and I'm like, oh, here it comes, and I'm like, oh, he didn't punch. You could see him not punching, and he start like chewing his glove or putting it in his mouth. I'm like, dude, this fight is fixed. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And then you hear
yeah,
all this, news about they guaranteed him 20 million. If he didn't, it had to go at least 3 or 4 rounds or what have you.
it's amazing,
And of
man.
course,
Amazing.
but you know what though? You know what? Tyson basically, I think he was like, look, they set all these parameters for me to get this $20 million. I'm gonna walk away with this 20 million. And at this point, I'm wondering, you know, I probably would have did. Because they tell me you get nothing if you knock me out.
Right.
Mm,
I just thought that
uh,
was interesting. So, nevertheless, all right. So let's get into the surprise, Fred.
well, hold on. Let me say this
Okay,
right
go ahead.
here.
Mhm.
If they had to put that contract in front of me, I would have got smart. I would say, all right, I would have went to an investor and said, hey, put $20 million on him. I'm gonna knock his ass out in the first round. And I would have won. They were like, oh, you didn't get your money. And hey, yes, I guess I did.
But you know what? It was good just to support and just to see the fight. So we're all caught up in the hype. And
Yeah,
hats off. I mean, hey, Jerry made some money. That's what he does. He's
Jerry.
a showman. So let's
That's
go to your surprise, Fred. Who was your surprise? What
oh my
surprised you this
gosh.
week? Because there were a lot of things, but something had to
We may have the
surprise
same
you.
surprise. We may have the same surprise.
No,
I
we
don't know.
won't. No, we won't. Not
You
even
know what?
close.
I got my surprise has a title.
Uh-oh.
Good, but not real good.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm getting thoroughly pissed off. I'm serious. I'm dead serious right now because, of course, there was a time when I retired. I'm like, I'll watch a game, and if I was
Mhm.
somewhere else, I'd be like, who won? And now, doing a show and just somewhat retired, being in Bermuda, I'm starting to watch games more. So I'm starting to kind of anticipate who's going to be, in front, who's going to win this game. And of course, with the show, it's interesting because now I'm just kind of like going through all the games week by week.
Right.
But these damn Ravens, dude, I'm
You can't figure them out.
confused.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, here you go to the circus and expect to see the twists and the turns and the elephants and the
Hmm.
clowns, and they come out and they memes. They're like,
You
wait,
can't.
what? What's going on? I mean, and here's the deal. I've been saying it. I've been saying this all year.
Right.
There's something weird about Coach Tomlin that brings you down to that level of just playing in the mud. They don't
Hmm.
want He don't want it pretty. He do
Right.
not want a pretty game. He don't want it pretty, and he walks off and his chest and walking off, looking at the crowd, and is in the ugliest games. He's going to win. They won 18-16. It was like a baseball game. I'm like, what's going on? They won 18-16. Who wins 18-6? And that's exactly what the Steelers want. They want to play in the mud. They want to
Yeah.
keep it close. They want to cause turnovers. They want to have and on offense. They screwing all up. They run around in circles. They don't know. Wilson just tossed the ball up for interception in the end zone. I'm like, what's going? And somehow, some way, they just kind of pull you down to that level. Did they do anything to win the game? Not really.
But wait a minute. But Fred, let me
They
ask you a
won,
question.
of course.
Pittsburgh kicked
Yeah,
6 field goals.
yeah.
6 field goals. I'm not impressed with that. Are you?
Not at all. But the thing, not at all.
It wins a
Not at
win. A
all. But
win's a win. A win's a
a
win.
wins, not
Yeah.
not impressed with that at all. But what happens is we go into that game thinking that Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry.
Yeah, we
Oh,
did.
it's gonna
We
be.
did.
We're gonna put. It's gonna be about 28, 35 points on this scoreboard. Yeah, they score 28, they win.
But to your point, here's how I saw that. And I'm quite certain all our listeners and you will agree with this. Here's what I'm sick of with regards to your surprise being the Baltimore Ravens. Can't really figure him out.
Mhm.
Why don't they run Henry?
I don't
He
know.
he ended up with 13 carries. Okay, I'm gonna put on my coach hat for a second.
Hmm.
Every half, Henry would have at least 10 carries.
About
Minimum
half. Hmm.
per half. But at least the first half. Second half, he's gonna get at least 10.
Hmm.
Certainly
So that's
first,
20,
but
20 plus. Yeah.
he will never have 13 carries,
Yeah.
12
No.
carries. It was a game earlier. Why? I that part I just don't understand. That and he seems to have a look on his face that he's just as puzzled why they're not feeding him the ball. But
And at one point,
there's no way he should just end up with 13 carries and they lose the game.
yeah.
There's no way.
At one point, I think there was one series that he's just standing on the sideline. I'm like, what are they doing? Is
Yeah.
he hurt? I thought he was hurt. He wasn't hurt. I mean,
No.
Wilson didn't do much. He had 205-yard pass. He had an interception. He was sacked 4 times. Pickett was the leading receiver, 8 catches, 89 yards.
Yeah.
And Jackson had 207 yards, a touchdown and interception. As you mentioned, Henry had 65 yards out of 124 yards. He at least had 100 plus yards rushing. But I'm gonna tell you something. Zay Flowers had a couple drops.
Yeah.
He had
That's
like
true.
he had like 2 or 3 catches for 39 yards. And what happens is that it seems as if they were in this fog and they were like numb
Hmm. Hmm.
and they just conform to the environment
Yeah.
of what that stadium and those fans and the Steelers were doing to them, and they just like, okay, what do you want us to do? It's like you let us win, and they were like, okay.
And not only that, Lamar Jackson, he had 4 carries, just four.
Yeah, yeah.
So the whole idea of them running the ball with two of the people that primarily obviously do all the rushing just didn't
Hmm.
do it.
Didn't do
And
it.
so I'm with you scratching my head with Baltimore because you see all the talent and you see them one week they blow people out and they look like they're a Super Bowl contender, and then they come and hatch an egg and play down
They play
to
down.
to Pittsburgh, which is just
Yeah.
mind-boggling. And so Richard Melton said he talked about Mike Tomlin telling his players that it's not about the individuals, it's the team that counts, and the players buy in. We agree with that. I
Yeah.
think we all would certainly enjoy playing for Mike Tomlin.
I got a
Um,
feeling that Mike Tomlin couldn't coach Aaron Rodgers.
not at all, not even close.
Aaron would
Well,
be gone.
all right.
Your
So
surprise.
my surprise is truly a surprise. You would never even saw this coming. Okay, it is time for us to give this team some love because no one's thinking about them, nobody's talking about them. But you got to give this team and in particular this quarterback some love. All right, you ready? Drum roll.
Keep
The
talking.
Denver Broncos and Bo
Man, them
Nix.
ain't gonna do nothing.
Well, that's why it's a surprise. So listen, Fred,
That is a surprise.
it's a surprise because
I'm gonna take a
this
drink.
team.
I'm gonna take a drink on that one. Go ahead.
Okay, so here's the thing: the Denver Broncos are 6-5. Bo Nix, they just wiped the floor with the Atlanta Falcons 38-6. There was a minute that we were talking about Atlanta, like, oh wow, look at Atlanta. He finished this game, Bo Nix did 28 of 33 for 307 yards. He completed 84% of his passes, 4 TDs, no picks. Here's the thing that's most important. He's a rookie.
Yeah.
He's only had 2 INTs in the last 9 games. Now, understand the week before they lost to those Chiefs that you talked about by a
Mm-hmm.
blocked field goal as time expired. They could have won that game.
Could have won that.
So here's a team, they have a defense that's number 3 in the league that's keeping them in
Mm-hmm.
games because Bo Nick is not doing anything crazy. He's
Mm-hmm.
managing the game.
It's not
And
making
if you
mistakes. Yeah.
remember, that was the bone of contention from Peyton that he had with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was taking chances. He just wanted him to manage the game, so on and so forth. Now he has a quarterback that he's obviously grooming to do just
Mm-hmm.
that. Here's the quote from Bo Nix. He says, "Hey, all I do is take what the defense gives you." Doesn't
Yeah.
that sound like his coach? That's
Yeah.
what his coach has drilled him in, and it's paying off. Guess what? Rookie completions, he has 234. More than who? Jaden Daniels, the other rookie.
Mm-hmm.
Passing touchdowns, 14. More than Jaden Daniels. So
Mm-hmm.
he's completed total 65% of his passes he's completed. So he's doing exactly what they're asking him to do. Do I think
Yeah.
that they're Super Bowl contenders? No, I do not. But right
Mm-hmm.
now, just for this week, they are the surprise for me. And I just wanted
Yeah.
to
That's
give them
good.
their flowers just for a hot minute
That's
because
good.
he's playing very well. Now, I liked him when he was at Auburn for a hot minute. I liked him when he was at Oregon. So I'm not really surprised, and I just think he's in a good fit with regard to the coach. Now, let me throw some names at you from a wide receiver standpoint. Tell me if you've ever heard of these people. These are his wideouts that he's throwing to. Little Jordan, that's his name. That was Little Jordan Humphrey.
Little.
Devon, Lil Jordan Humphrey.
Oh, Lil.
Devon, yeah, look,
Lil
yeah.
Joy.
Devon Veal.
Veal.
Courtland Sutton is the only one that
I
I've
remember
heard of.
Courtney Sutton. Yeah.
Now here's the thing. Courtland Sutton's been in the league 6 years. Lil Jordan been in the league 5 years. His tight end, Adam Trussman, 5 years. Their running back, Javonte Williams, 4 years. Here's the thing that they're saying about Bo Nix. He's
Mm-hmm.
spreading the ball around. They don't have any superlatives on offense, and they're
Mm-hmm.
getting it done with a collection of people. So
Yeah.
my surprise this week is Bo Nix and the 6-5 Denver Broncos. Hey, the wild card's out there. Who knows? Because you know as well as I do, you've had teams lose 8 games and get in. It's
Yeah.
happened. So
Yeah.
hey, we'll see how it ends up. But that's my
That's
surprise.
true.
Bo Nix and the
Well, you
Denver
have you have
Broncos.
to give kudos and of course I kind of brushed it off when you said it, but at the same time too, when you got a rookie quarterback that has the mindset of
Yeah.
understanding how to manage the offense and basically understanding it is really showing
Mm-hmm.
that he can do it, and putting up 4 touchdowns against any NFL team
Yeah.
is a feat alone. And the one thing that the big question I had about Bo Nix is that I think he was, as you mentioned, he was at Auburn, he was at
Oregon.
Oregon, and I think
Mm-hmm.
he was at a couple more colleges, even before then that. And he just kept transferring, and he just seemed like that typical, I hate to say this, white quarterback who was athletic and who wouldn't stay in the pocket because he was so athletic. And it's just like a lot of athletic quarterbacks, he was
Mm-hmm.
so athletic, he just was prone to not go through his progression. And when because it's like, okay, if my first guy not open and I see a lane, boom, I
Right.
can do my thing, and that happens with a lot of athletic quarterbacks. But if you can get a guy with a decent arm to understand the game, to know what he's doing, to
Hmm.
understand what he knows, and be able to execute what he knows and understands,
Yeah.
I mean, you got a jewel, and ultimately, it's really about can you get the ball down the field? Can you execute what you know and understand? Because there are a lot of guys, in my opinion, from all positions, they knew what they were doing, but they
Yeah.
just didn't have the ability to go out and do it,
Yeah.
and vice versa. People with the ability didn't have the ability to really understand what they were doing. So there's a lot of elements that play a part, but I wouldn't have guessed that they would have the record that they have right now. So I definitely get
Well,
it. That is a surprise.
well, I was surprised beating up on Atlanta 38-6. The 6 points that Atlanta scored tells you that defense can get it done. So
Yeah,
they'll be fun to watch down the stretch here. Next week they're at Las Vegas, and then they are home against Cleveland,
should
and
be a
then
win.
Indianapolis, and then they get into a stretch. They have the Chargers, Cincinnati, and KC. So we'll see. It'll be fun to watch. All right.
That would be fun to watch.
Having said that, let's take a look at our game of the week this week.
Anyway,
Um, Now, game of the week that we've selected, ladies and gentlemen, is San Francisco 49ers, which
yeah,
makes you scratch your head almost like Baltimore, Fred. San
yeah.
Francisco 49ers
But
at Green Bay. So give me your
yeah.
take on those two.
So
That game.
the interesting thing about the 49ers are 5-4, of course, and Green Bay is 7-3. When I look at the 49ers team, I can't help but to think that obviously their record would be a lot better if McCaffrey didn't have his injury. And a lot of times we as fans and even as players and as coaches, and even as an
Mhm.
organization, say one guy really don't make a team.
Right.
But it's interesting to see McCaffrey play an integral part in that offense that if he's not involved, they don't
Mhm.
produce offensively. So, and I think that's interesting. I mean, San Francisco right now is second in total offense. When I look at Green Bay, is fourth in total offense, which
Mhm.
is even without McCaffrey, they still to putting over 300 yards, 300 plus yards, almost 400 yards on during a game. Total defense, San Francisco is sixth, which is not bad, and Green Bay is kind of way down the line. And if San Francisco, in my opinion, really wasn't beat up, and I think Ayuk missed about 2 or 3 games here and there, and
Mhm.
Debo's just been kind of off and on. I think he may have missed one game, but he's been kind of in and out of games. They lost to the Vikings, they lost to the Rams by a field goal, they lost to the Cardinals by 1 point, and they
Mhm.
lost to the Seahawks just this past weekend by a field goal, by 3 points. Purdy has thrown thus far a little over 2,600 yards, 13 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Uh, Embarrassingly, Purdy is their second leading rusher. behind,
Boy,
behind,
that's bad.
behind,
That's terrible.
that hurts. Yeah, behind Mason, who Mason has 703 yards. But when you got your quarterback, the second leading rusher, is like
Yeah.
it's like, okay, you don't want that. I don't want my quarterback being the second leading rusher. And as we mentioned, if I as I mentioned McCaffrey, if he wasn't hurt,
Mhm.
this probably would be a different discussion.
Yeah.
From a receiving standpoint, Kettle, Jennings. Kettle has 7 touchdowns. Jennings has 4. Debo, as I mentioned, he's been banged up. I actually played only 7 games.
Right.
And when I look at the Green Bay Packers, Love has thrown for not much, a little over 2,000 yards, 16
Mhm.
touchdowns, a little more, three more than Purdy, and a few more interceptions than Purdy. Love has 11 interceptions, where Purdy has 8. Their leading rusher is Jacobs right now with 838 and 6 touchdowns, and their receivers have been Reed and Dobbs with 600 plus for Reed, 400 plus for Dobbs. I see this game. I can't unless McCaffrey has a breakout game in which I think they're kind of moving him in slow, as we just talked, before we started McCaffrey this last game. He they just he was somewhat productive, but they didn't pull through. But I don't see them. They shouldn't beat Green Bay. Although I think the game is a game in Green Bay.
It's in Green Bay, at Green
Yes,
Bay, in
it's in Green Bay.
Lambeau Field. Yeah.
Lambeau Field. Yeah, San Francisco shouldn't be Green Bay and Lambeau Field. With everybody healthy with Green Bay right now, and it's time really right now for those teams that have the good records to protect those records. You get you 7-3, you're 8-2. Even if you're 6-4 right now, hey, this is the time to
Right.
kind of turn it up to make sure just that we finish good. So I can't see San Francisco going to Green Bay and beating Green
Well, I don't either. I mean, Green Bay snuck out that win against Chicago after they had blocked the field goal at the
Bay. Yeah,
end, that was a good game. I happened to see that game and played in that. When I was with the Bears for 2 years, that was always. I mean, it's a rivalry. I mean, it's what
yeah.
for ages that's been a big rivalry, and so that game was a good game, and Green Bay pulled it out. I just don't see San Francisco's not clicking on enough good cylinders to
Cylinders.
go
Yeah,
to Green Bay and to win. And they're Bay guys. They're Bay guys, and they're going to go to the frozen. Well, it's not frozen yet, but it'll be a little cooler. But
tundra.
yeah, but I just don't see them going to Green Bay. Love, I mean, Christian Watson, the receiver, he had 4 catches for 150 yards. So they have some talent. And remember, we had talked earlier about one of the receivers, Jaden Reed,
Hmm.
a young receiver that was up and coming. So they have some talent there. They just got to put it all together. And I think the thing with Jordan Love, he hasn't been playing great. I just hope that I wish that they would run the Josh Jacobs a lot more. He has a lot to offer. They're not running him enough.
Yeah.
But the big thing is we'll see. We'll see. But I'm picking Green Bay to stay on track because Minnesota's one game ahead of them, and they're all chasing Detroit in the
Yeah.
NFC North. So
Yeah.
let's go Green Bay, the
Let's
Cheesehead.
go Green Bay.
All right,
These
game of the
heads.
week. All right, so let's go
We got
to our picks for the week. So let's start, Fred, with our Thursday night game, which finds us Pittsburgh at Cleveland. Pittsburgh
hey.
at Cleveland.
At this
Um,
point, I'm all Pittsburgh at Cleveland.
excuse me,
Bless you.
excuse me.
Bless you. Pittsburgh. This at this point, I'm looking at their schedule to see who they will lose to at this point because at this point they're just going on the field and hypnotizing the other team and getting the other team to just kind of play to their level. And Jameson, he had
Jamison
like a
Winston.
spark. Yeah, he had like a spark there when my man left.
Right.
The other quarterback.
Watson.
Yeah,
Watson. Hmm.
when Watson left, he had a spark there. He came out and he quote scripture. But I don't know if scripture gonna help him
Well, now
for
now
this.
they now hey, as well as I do. Now they got some tape on him from this year. They got some
Yeah,
tape on him, so now all of that's kind of faded a little bit.
yeah. So I see Pittsburgh winning this one. Um,
Now
and then
I'm gonna give you an interesting stat.
give me.
First place Steelers
Yeah.
going to Cleveland. Now that rivalry dates long way back.
Oh yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
know that the Browns beat the Steelers last year in Cleveland? Number two, Pittsburgh is 0-3 on the road Thursday nights versus the Browns. You want to change your pick?
This will change tomorrow. This will be there will be a U-turn tomorrow.
Well, my friend, I
There
agree
will
with you.
be
I agree even with those stats. Now,
yeah.
with those stats, I won't be surprised. However, I'm going to stick with Pitt because they showed me something obviously against Baltimore, although that was home. But don't be surprised at Cleveland. Now, here's the thing why I'm saying don't be surprised that Cleveland plays them very well. And Jameson Winston has one of those games because of the history there. And because
Mm.
you've been in those locker rooms, when you have a stat like that against a team, there's
His
nothing
feet
for
off
your
it.
coach. There's nothing for your coach to go up there and say, "Hey, we own them." When they
Yeah,
come to
we
our
feet off.
house, we own them. So
Feed it. Yeah.
don't be surprised that it's not a competitive game, particularly because
Yeah.
Pittsburgh is not going to run up the score.
No, they don't
That's
want
just
to.
not
Yeah.
the way they're playing. And so it may be surprising to us all. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. But I'm going to go with
Yeah.
Pittsburgh as well. All right, Fred.
Sunday
Sunday.
night.
Oh, I know you're
Sunday.
going to love this one. Yes, sir.
The Eagles and the Rams. And right now, the Eagles, what they won 6 in a row. And the
Mhm.
Rams, they're a little beat up here and there. Although they're in LA, I can't see the Eagles losing to the Rams. I think the Eagles have finally figured out, and at least I hope they finally figured out that first and foremost, Saquon Barkley is their trigger person.
Mhm.
He is their he. It's it. The offense starts with him. And I think he's proven that the offense should be ran around him. No pun intended.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I think they figured out that just like we talked about Derrick Henry. We give you the ball, you get a 1 yard here, you're 2 yards there. We're gonna keep giving you the ball because we know at some point,
Yeah.
we're gonna give it to you, and then boom, you gone for 45, 50 yards. And I feel like they have figured that out. I'm hoping, of course, that uh, fourth and four calls, taking points off the board, not going for the field goals is utterly ridiculous in my opinion. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna segue a little bit. The Commanders
Okay.
went did not kick a field goal against the Eagles, and they went
Right.
for it. I'm like, okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then got blown up. And I think that the Eagles already had momentum, but that just kind of boost the momentum. And I'm just getting do you ever remember, Mike, when we played? There's no way we're on the 30-yard line. It's 4th and 2. Coach, like kick a field goal.
There you go.
We
Yeah.
ain't
Yeah.
going for no fourth
Yeah.
and two. Kick the field goal. I think it's almost like a smidget, a skosh of arrogance to say, you know what? We can do this. Watch
Yeah.
this. So what happens is when you, as a defense, when you were like waiting for them to send the field goal unit on, they're like, oh no, we're going to pick
You're
up these 3 yards.
insulting.
Oh
You're
really? Oh really? Okay, we'll see about that. You have to be insulted.
yeah.
So it's
You out
like,
there just
so you have to understand, really understand that there's a response that you're going to get with the
yeah.
fact that you made that choice.
Yeah. Yeah. Most
That
definitely.
that brings the defense up a level. But hopefully there won't be a situation where we're in a lot of fourth down situations, or they're in a lot of fourth down situations. I kind of correct myself because I don't want to be that fan who says, oh, we won, they lost. I don't want to
Hmm.
be the we and they, but but
Okay.
I just don't see the Rams winning this game.
All right. So now Fred, I'm not afraid to step out on the limb.
I know you're not.
Okay. So here's the deal. I like Philly. I like everything about Philly. I love the Barkley deal, the Penn State connection. I got all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I'll be honest with you. And I said this when we started the season. And remember my phrase: Philadelphia has to convince me that they can manage
Manage the
expectations.
expectations.
And I haven't forgotten that. I'm
Let me
banking on that.
hold up. Let me
Yes,
tell you
sir.
this. Let me tell you that. When you first said that, I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? I'm like, so it hit me in a quiet moment. I swear to you, because it puzzled me. Because I'm like, I don't care what nobody expect me to do. I'm just gonna go out and do what I do. And then all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? There is an expectation based on who we are, what the roster
Hmm.
is.
Yeah,
There are fans who are expecting us to go
yeah,
out and win certain games. How do we go out and do
yeah.
that? How do we, even if we lost a game, there should be the fan base. Oh, yeah, we can see that. That's still managing it. And you're
So,
absolutely right. You're absolutely
so,
right.
so here's why I'm still itching because I just kind of think at some point. Now I know they're hitting their street right now, but Fred, something keeps telling me at some point it's gonna turn. And here's why I say that. When I say manage expectations, you have a coach that just a few weeks ago was fussing with the people in the stands when they had some adversity. Number two,
Hmm.
Philly has seen adversity when it hits Hurts. He can very easily start throwing the ball to the wrong team.
Straight away, yeah.
All of those things concern me a little bit. Now,
Hmm.
they're going to the Rams. They're catching fire a little bit. Are they barn beaters? No. But they just had a week where both receivers, Pakua, whatever his name is, you know what I'm talking about. I kept
Puka Nakua.
talking Nakua.
Hmm.
Nakua, Cup, they did well. And they won the game and they had a big game. I wouldn't be surprised at home because see, Philly has to go out west and they have to manage all of that and play. And I'm just saying they've been front runners so far. If they get behind, that's what concerns me a little bit. So, having said all of that, I'm gonna go for the Rams. I'm gonna go with the Rams. Yes, I am. I'm gonna go with the Rams.
Bye
Now,
bye,
now,
baby.
now, now, I'll end with this.
I'm listening.
Barkley scares me because if he's hot, it doesn't matter what.
Barkley's always hot. Hey, if he's not hot, he's hurt. If he ain't
so
hurt,
I'm
he's hot.
so if they can contain him, they have a shot.
Yeah,
Okay. So there we go. So we'll see. We'll see. But that's
we'll
that's
see.
my thing with the Rams. I'm gonna go out there because the Rams top 10, they're top 10 in passing the ball. So we'll see. And
Yeah.
Philly's good at stopping the pass. So hopefully
Yes,
it's a good
sir.
game. I have no skin in the game, but I'm gonna stick out there and go with the Rams. All right.
Philly
Monday
has
night.
number one defense.
Yeah.
Philly got number
Oh,
one defense in the league.
no question. No question. But when that doggone Hurts go over there and start spraying that ball, all it takes is a pick or two. All it takes is a
True,
pick. And
true.
you'll see that look on his face, and you be like, okay, is he gonna rebound from this? Because
There
we've
you
all
go.
seen
Yeah.
it. All right,
Yep.
so let's go here, Fred. Baltimore against the Chargers. What do you think? Here's your Baltimore Ravens. You talked about them earlier. Here we go. Now
Man,
they're playing a decent team that they got the coach, the rah-rah coach from college. Who's got it better than us? Nobody.
and we talk about brothers
Yeah,
coaching against each other right here too. You know
yeah.
what? I'm going to defer to the first half.
Really?
Hey, you know what? Baltimore just had a bad loss.
Hmm.
I don't think I'm not at this point. I'm not looking for excitement from them.
Okay.
I'm not looking for a big show. But
Okay.
what I'm looking for now is that those captains, those star players get together and say, all right, let's get this stuff. Come on, let's get this stuff
Stop.
done.
I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna stop you right
Stop.
there.
Let's
I'm
stop.
gonna stop.
Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna stop you right there. They don't have number 52. That ain't the same defense. We keep
True.
looking for that because we were accustomed to that.
Yeah.
That ain't the same defense that has Ed Reed.
True.
That ain't the same defense.
I'm not gonna let you persuade me though. I
Hey, one last thing. They're going out to LA.
Zay Flowers gonna have 150 yards received in two touchdowns.
Okay. All right. All
I give
right.
it to
I'm writing.
Baltimore.
I'm writing it down. I'm writing it down. Now, here's why I'm going to go with the Chargers. Because
And I don't blame
I think the game plan is out there now. Okay, Pittsburgh did it.
you.
Pittsburgh didn't play man to man versus Lamar. Why? Because you know, as well as I do on the outside, those guys turn their back. They're running down the field with the wideouts. Guess what Lamar does? He takes off.
Yeah.
They played zone
Mm-hmm.
and neutralized him. Remember, he had 4 carries in the game. I just
Mm-hmm.
think if the Chargers are smart, which I think they are, they replicate that game plan. So Jackson doesn't run all the way down the field. And
Mm-hmm.
perhaps their stupidity, Baltimore being, they don't run Henry like they should.
They should.
Chargers
And
Chargers wins the game.
I I think the way and the characteristics of how Pittsburgh played a hand in how Baltimore responded. And I don't think the Chargers are going to do that. The Chargers are kind of like squeaky clean. And I think if you play a squeaky clean game against Baltimore, they going to get you. Uh, so we'll see. We'll see. If it's a knockdown, you know, we're going 16 rounds. We both bloody. You got them.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Did you see any highlights of Justin Ebert throwing that football? He was throwing some
Oh yeah,
dimes.
yeah,
Oh,
he was. He
so
was.
at home, with a little confidence going into that game, I'm going to pick the
Yeah,
Chargers. I'm going to stick with the Chargers and see.
coming up and win.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
It's
all
it's
right.
it's the head of tails for me.
Okay. All right. Well, it's not a head of tails because you done picked them. So don't back out
No,
now.
it's a head.
All right, Fred. Well, we're heading down the stretch, so let's get to our picks that we've had. So right now, in terms of our picks, ladies and gentlemen, let me get some shout outs before we wrap up here. We still have Richard Melton in the house. Bensters, he said that you need to go to Oscar's Tavern, Fred, and watch the game Sunday night. So there's an
Where's Oscar Tavern?
Oscar's Tavern. I'm
In
guessing.
Bermuda?
I'm.
I'm in
I
Bermuda.
okay. Well, I
Tell him
guess
I'm
he
in
thought
Bermuda.
you was hanging out in Philly. Perhaps there's an Oscar's Tavern there. So we still have our Barnett, Richard Melton, Casper, all these guys. Shout out to you. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Capriati, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being faithful. Just to recap, our fearless friend Irving Fryar, he's not with us this evening. He had some sickness in the family,
Yeah.
and so we're sending prayers out to his relative that took ill. He had to go to the hospital for that, and I spoke to him a little earlier, and he's there just taking care of that matter. So we wish him the best. So all right, Fred. So
Hmm.
here's the records as we speak. Last week I was 2-1, you were 2-1, Irving was 3-0. We all picked Houston to beat Dallas. I stepped out on there and picked Washington over the Eagles, and you and Irv obviously picked the Eagles. I think by contract you guys got to pick the Eagles anyway. And then the Cincinnati Bengals and the Chargers. Irvin and I picked the Chargers, and you, Fred, to your credit, you went with Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But they came up short, and so there we go. So I'm going to go with Chargers again this week. So right now our records stand as such. I am 22-14, bringing up the rear. Fred, you're 23-13, and Irving has taken the lead with his
Taking the
3-0
lead.
performance. He's 24-12. I'm just trying to get to 500 at this point, to be honest with you. I just want to make sure that I stay at 500.
I tell you what,
Um,
I ain't picking Baltimore no more if they don't win this game. They done with it.
by the way,
Done.
Fred, Ben said Center City. I don't know where Center City. Do you know where Center
Sin
City is?
City, right there, yeah, right in the city.
Is that Philly? That's not
Philly,
Bermuda,
yeah.
is it? Okay.
No, it's
So
not
yeah.
Bermuda.
So
What's the
he
name?
told
What's the
him
name? What's the name of it?
It's Center City, but he's
No, I
talking.
know it's Center City. What's
Where was it? Oscars Tavern, something. Yeah, Oscars Tavern.
I have to
Oscars
look that
Tavern.
up.
Okay.
Cool. Q.
All
I have
right.
to look that up.
So we got a couple minutes here before we take off, ladies and gentlemen. If there are any questions, throw them in the chat. We'll answer them. If not, we're not going to hold everybody. We appreciate you on this Wednesday Hump Day evening. And so, Fred, nobody has any questions for our knowledge that we can share with them. We've answered everything. That's why we've done
That's what we've done our
not.
job.
So we appreciate you guys hanging in with us, and we'll be back in the saddle perhaps next week,
Yep.
God willing, and the creek don't rise, as they say. And so that's why we don't have the introduction and the outro as we normally do. We're just going to be signing off. So all you're going to see is the blank screen in a second when we shout off. So for my partner that's absent, Irving Fryar, we miss
Irving
you.
Fryar.
And
See you next week, buddy.
this is Fred Barnett. I'm Michael Timpson. We will see you guys next time, same channel. Be blessed. Have a great rest of the week. Take care.
Yes, sir.